Spring break is over. It's time to go back to work.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Marc, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every single day. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free, and I appreciate your support. And to all of you who have already become a subscriber, thank you so very, very, very much. And to all of you who would like to become a subscriber for free, it's easy. See that subscribe button, click it. And if you like the episode, hit that thumbs up. And don't forget the notifications. That way you won't miss one of our 5 episodes because I come at you 5 times a week. All your news, all your notes, all your info in 30 minutes or less. So the team has reassembled. Then they're going to get back at spring break or spring camp after taking a spring break. They had like a 10, 11-day little sabbatical after 3 days of camp. So they're going to be back at it on Tuesday, and I'll be out there with the media. Hopefully it won't be raining, although practice is set for 3:30. USC is actually going to be having their pro day earlier in the day, in the morning, starting at 8:30 in the morning. And the media will be there as well. I will get there as quickly as I can. It is going to be raining. So regardless of the weather, we are being told pro day is taking place outside. We'll see what happens with spring camp and practice. It's 100% chance of rain on Tuesday in Southern California, as well as into Wednesday. We're having one of those. When did they replace El Nino with atmospheric rivers? Whatever. It's going to be raining Tuesday and Wednesday in LA, which is going to be interesting to see how it affects spring camp. It's not the most ideal environment for the guys, especially since they're returning from their spring break. They're going to need a couple of days to get acclimated again. And then, starting on Tuesday, they're going to be going 3 days a week for the next 4 weeks. And that includes their spring game on April 15th. So Tuesday, Thursday, practice on Saturday. Tuesday, Thursday, practice on Saturday. The media is not allowed to be there on Saturday. So unless something changes, you'll get practice reports from me on every Tuesday and Thursday. So I'm going to imagine coming back off of spring break that shorts and shells will take place for the first couple of days while they get acclimated again. And then, if I see something different when I get out there tomorrow, or if you're watching this first thing Tuesday morning, when I get out there later today, I'll let everybody know on Twitter how the team is coming out for practice. You can always follow me there at Marc Culkin. Don't forget that. So if you're Lincoln Riley, you get to be coach. How much do you push the guys in the rain where, I'm not saying injuries happen all the time, but look, things happen when the ground is wet. Guys slip, that type of stuff. So, if you're Lincoln Riley, do you keep it outside? Do you get the guys used to, practicing with the wet ball drill, or do you, move it inside, using the K facilities? The last time I was at practice, which was the last time the team practiced, they were in full pads, and there was tackling to the ground. Coaches were showing techniques, how to tackle properly. So that was being coached up. I don't anticipate seeing any of that on the first day back. So if it is raining, and it doesn't really matter how hard it is, if the ground is wet, do you want the guys, making sharp cuts, running routes where they could, slip or twist something? They're going to be doing their drills, but how much do you want to, protect the guys? Look, I'm not saying call off practice, but I'm thinking back to when I played high school football, back in the day with leather helmets and one bar across. No, wasn't that long ago. It was in the 80s. Um, my high school coach was a hard ass. And this was during, during the Brian Bosworth days, if you remember the character from Oklahoma, mohawk, neck roll, half t-shirt. That's what it was like. It was, I don't want to say it was tough man football, but you wanted to show how tough you were. And so you didn't let weather get in the way. So if you were coaching, would you hold practice outside in the elements? Or would you say, hey, let's take it inside? Again, the goal to keep the guys healthier, I would say bring it inside. However, I'm also not a really big fan of the whole mollycoddling. And I think this is an era where players are they're kind of getting used to it, where their voices are not only being heard, they're kind of dictating what happens. So I don't know, it might be a good time to maybe take a step backward and kind of remind everyone about the pecking order and that life isn't always fair and you kind of have to deal with things you don't always want to have to deal with. Anyways, back to spring camp. I spent the last time we were out there focused on watching the defensive players. They're the closest to us, and it gives me a really good opportunity, to kind of hone in and see what's going on. Well, this time, I told you I'm going to try and falcon in, use my eyes, and zero in on the offense. See if I want to see what Marshawn Lloyd looks like carrying the ball. How close can I get? I don't know, but whatever I can see, I'll see. The wide receivers, I want to watch them running practice routes while the cameras are allowed on. Yes, believe it or not, there are times during the drills where we are told to turn our cameras away from the quarterbacks throwing to the wide receivers. What about the quarterbacks? Like I mentioned, I guess wet ball drills are cool to kind of get used to. Whether that muscle memory will carry over into later in the season, don't know. I guess we can find out. The O-line group, these guys are so far away. Although, look, I'm not going to go out and buy one of those high-resolution super zoom video cameras for 5 minutes of guys, blocking in unison. However, I would like to be able to see enough where I can, at least be able to come back and describe the drills to you guys and the techniques that are being used. Maybe who's lining up in first team, second team, third team, that type of stuff. Again, spring camp, none of this really matters. More importantly, what I really want to get out of being closer to the offensive line group, I want to hear with my own ears how Coach Henson coaches the guys up. We've heard the players during the interviews call him a technician, and I think that's great. I love that. But I'd love to get a sample that I can come back and share with the fans, kind of give you my own unique perspective from my own observations. So I guess it's really when it comes to how the offensive line gets developed, maybe, Lincoln Riley and Henson, it goes back to, do you really need to know how the sausage is made, or, would you just prefer to kind of have the finished product? Just enjoy it. You don't need to see what goes into it. Well, I do. I'm one of those types of guys. I want to know how the sausage is made. So I kind of wonder, is this by design? Is Riley such an offensive, I don't want to say introvert, but just his mind is so wrapped around how can I make my offense unstoppable that, any small advantage he can get, he's going to take. Another thing, look, is the weather going to affect the high schools that are on spring break? Will it keep the recruits away if it's raining? No, not the biggest thing to consider, but you want if recruits are on spring break. You want them out there as much as possible. So players and the coaches are going to be available to us after practice on Tuesday. We're going to get the offense, and I'll be able to go over what they say, coaches, players, on our next episode of Locked On USC. And then on Thursday, when I go back out there, I will focus in on the defense and special teams again. So I'm sure everyone is looking forward to the 2023 season. I know I am. It's Caleb Williams' last year, and it's the last year for USC in the Pac-12 conference. Are the Trojans essentially dead men walking? Let's talk about in the next segment. But first, we're going to talk about FanDuel, because we are at the midway point of the NBA season. It's here. So now is the perfect time to download. Actually, we're way past that. We're in March Madness. And you need to go on over to March Madness, Built March Madness, and vote for your favorite puff or bar. You know the routine. Double chocolate for me. You got the puffs. Get into it. They're good. It's good stuff. So, give me a second here. I want to make sure I'm reading to you everything you want to know about the Built March Madness. It really is a mouthful. So, if you are a new customer, you're going to get a no sweat first bet. It's up to $1,000 in bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So head on over to FanDuel's sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, it's really super easy. And you're going to be able to bet on everything from the money line to the point scores to the 3 points to the 3-pointers that are made. And at FanDuel, it even allows you to combine your bets at a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll get back to the Built March Madness another day. This was all about FanDuel. Okay, so as I mentioned, I asked the question, are the Trojans dead men walking? Technically, they're still members of the Big 12 Conference for this season. And then, next year, in 24, they will kick off their season against LSU in Las Vegas, but they will be a big conference member at that time. So, what's it going to feel, let's start with today or tomorrow. You pick a day. But what's it going to feel like as each day goes by? And then as each game is played, it's one step closer where they're walking that line out the door, so to speak, to freedom. Every game that USC loses, that the leftovers in the Pac-10, they're going to smile. They're going to look for any type of satisfaction that they can get out of this whole, I don't know, call it a mess that USC and UCLA are leaving behind them. I mean, let's be honest. Winning games on the road, they're tough enough as it is. And now, USC has given opposing fans even more reason to be really jealous and to despise USC. History and tradition aside, of all of USC's winning, no one really ever thought that USC would leave their brothers and their sisters hanging out on Skid Row and begging for money, and for someone to watch, to say, hey, look at me. I still have value. Well, we're still, the remaining members of the Pac-10, they're still waiting for their new media deal. How much value do they really have? So I've touched on this dynamic before, but how is USC going to be treated as they as I mentioned, as they take their slow walk to freedom as they go through the 2023 season. They don't have that many road games this year. Excuse me. One of their their oldest rival in the conference is Cal. So this is going to be the last, I would imagine, the last Joe Roth Memorial game. The weekend or anytime USC or UCLA travels to play in Berkeley, this is when they have their Joe Roth Memorial game, and it's dedicated to their quarterback, Joe Roth, who back in 1975 led their team to a upset over number 4 ranked USC. And at that, USC was really dominant in the middle 70s with John McKay and Ricky Bell and all those offensive linemen. They had won 18 games straight in conference, and actually 18 straight versus Cal, and 28 straight over Pac-8 opponents at that time. So it was a really big win, and I'm actually going to miss it. I kind of have a soft spot for the Bears. Number one, I appreciate any institution that recognizes players who do something special. If you're not aware, Joe Roth died of cancer just a very short time after that game. So to be able to be a part of something like that, I know that there's a lot of fan interaction, but I think USC appreciated that they were able to be a part of that process. So, like I said, I have a soft spot for that program. And I think it's because they used to be, Cal used to be good at one time when they cared about athletics. And I really wanted to see what would happen to Berkeley if the Bears ever made it back to the Rose Bowl. And I don't know, I'm sure they'll make it back one day. It's been since the Eisenhower administration. So yeah. Anyways. So yeah, I'm going to miss heading up to Cal, but it's going to be interesting to see what those fans are like. I know what their fans are like on Fraternity Row when they beat USC. You better have your big boy pants on and a hard hat on. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to it. There's 2 more road games that USC will play back to back, both at ASU and Colorado. Both of those games are really nothing burgers as far as rivalries and fan animosities are involved. Although Sun Devil fan knows how to get pretty liquored up, and they can be pretty rowdy, especially if it's a day game. And I can attest, late September is still hotter than Hades in Arizona. And so I could totally see the Pac-12 saying, hey, you know what? This is your last time playing against Arizona State in Arizona. Let's make it a day game. But take this easy bake oven with you as a consolation prize. Like I said, I don't see the game itself, having a whole lot of drama. But again, if the Pac-12 wants to make life difficult for USC, 12:30 in Tempe, September 23rd. Yeah, interesting. The other 2 away games are, one of them is going to be at Notre Dame. That doesn't count. USC will continue to have Notre Dame on their schedule for the foreseeable future. The other one, though, is Oregon. And the game in Eugene is going to be tough enough because it's toward the end of the season. But it's also sandwiched between UW, Washington, and USC's last game at home, UCLA. I've been to Eugene. They're a very passionate fan base, I guess is one way of putting it. But they might be the one fan base that probably feels the most disrespected in this whole ordeal when USC decided to pick up and say, toodaloo. I mean, because there could be some truth that USC kind of told the big conference that tell Oregon that they're not needed. And if there's any truth to that, that makes Oregon really mad. They really felt like they were on the same level as the USCs and the UCLAs, and I'll even extend to the big, the Ohio States and the Michigans of the world. Look, memo to Oregon fan: just because you wear new clothes every game and you have really cool shiny helmets, well, some of you guys think it's cool, and you have an occasional good season, that doesn't make you an equal. That doesn't mean that everybody wants Oregon. They don't. Sorry. So I know when USC goes up there to play, they're going to let USC know. They're gonna make sure they remember their last visit to Eugene. Like I said, I've been to Eugene, and that's when they were just starting to become relevant. So as much as beating UCLA and Notre Dame means a lot every season, this game for USC it's about sending a message. Um, let the Ducks and the Huskies and the Utes, they can fight over the LA market and USC's leftovers. It's really important that USC win that game for a couple of reasons. One, most importantly, the recruits are going to be watching. You have to remind them and keep in the front of their minds that, hey, USC is doing the right thing, going to the big conference. Losing on your way out of the conference to what would be considered the power program that's being left in the conference, it would send a bad message. It wouldn't last very long, but you would rather go out smiling than not. All right. So not only is spring camp back on Tuesday, USC is holding their pro day as well Tuesday morning. There's going to be 15 Trojans anticipated to participate. Of those, you've got wide receiver Jordan Addison, defensive back Mekhi Blackman, wide receiver Terrell Bynum, defensive back Micah Kroom, running back Travis Dye, tight end Josh Follow, quarterback Mo Hassan, offensive lineman Bobby Haskins, tight end from class of he graduated USC 21, Eric Cromenhoek. Remember this guy? Running back Vavai Malapai. He's going to be out there. Offensive lineman Brett Nealon. Hopefully he's going to be recovered enough to show enough to NFL scouts what he's capable of doing. Running back Brandon Outlaw. Defensive lineman Brandon Peely. Defensive lineman Tulia Pelotu, and offensive lineman Andrew Voorhees. So, of the guys mentioned, I think we have an idea which ones have the best chance to get drafted. Voorhees, Tulia, Addison, Mekhi. How many though of those players? Are those all of them? Are they first and second day guys? Which one slips into day 3 and beyond? So, and then which ones are going to sign as undrafted free agents? This is kind of where the real world hits everybody in the face. We all, we see the players, we appreciate them, we watch them develop, and we root for them, and we want them all to go on and have successful, careers, at least have an opportunity to play professionally. Sometimes it's just not in the cards. So look, you got a couple of guys coming back who who are USC Trojans. They graduated in 2021. Eric Kramenhoek, Vavai, they're coming back. They're chasing their dreams still. I would love for one of those two guys, for both of those guys, to get an opportunity to sign on with an NFL program, NFL team, and make a practice squad. See if they can make it happen. Especially, not especially, but Vavai is just one of those guys you root really hard for. Just one of those guys. Love to see it happen. Now, I talked about USC's having their own pro day. The Big 12 came up with an idea, and I love this. I think this is probably going to start spreading around to other conferences. They're going to have their own Big 12 combine. The Big 12 conference, in concert with the NFL, is trying something new. They're having a Big 12 pro day involving draft eligible players from the conference, and they're going to have it televised on the NFL Network. The Big 12 Pro Day is believed to be the first of its kind, and the event's going to take place at the Dallas Cowboys facility. What I love about this is just another way for players to compete, but at the same time, the conference is getting more exposure for themselves. You don't think recruits aren't going to pay attention to that? I mean, I think this is a great idea. Imagine if the Pac-12 had this kind of forethought and was willing to work with other networks instead of trying to be, keep everything in-house with their deals. Maybe they wouldn't be in the situation they're in now where they're trying to get a media deal put together. Think about it. We're not that far away from summer. And Oregon and Washington and Cal and Stanford and the Arizona schools, Utah, Colorado, they're all waiting to find out, what channel they're going to be on and how much money they're going to make annually. Yeah, USC picked the right time to get out. All right, that's it for this episode of Locked On USC. But thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. For your second listen, go check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. You've got your experts, Isaac Shad, Andy Patton. They're going to bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, you're going to hear from big-name experts, from coaches, and from players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. I will be back with another episode. I come at you 5 times a week. So until then, you know what to do.